You will spend years of your life inside a car. It's your personal kingdom on four wheels. The one place where you make the rules. Or so you think. The truth is, that private world is surrounded by a minefield of baffling laws, from the criminalization of dirty tires to rules on where you can tie up an alligator. This isn't just a list. It's a tour of the legislative insanity that secretly governs your daily drive, and it will change the way you see the road forever. 1. Most of us check our mirrors before pulling out of the driveway. Danish law, however, suggests a far more thorough inspection. Before you turn the ignition in Denmark, you are legally required to check for children sleeping underneath your car. This raises an immediate and rather urgent question. Is there a widespread epidemic of automotive napping toddlers in Scandinavia that the rest of the world has somehow missed? The law also requires you to check your lights and brakes, but the image of a Danish professional meticulously doing a full tactical sweep of their Volvo every morning is just magnificent. 2. There are certain laws that feel less like preventative measures and more like a direct insult to the local population. Case in point, Alabama makes it expressly illegal to drive a motor vehicle while blindfolded. You have to wonder what series of events led to this. It suggests that at some point, enough people tried it that a lawmaker had to stand up and say, "All right, listen up, folks. We need to make this official." It's a powerful reminder that for every bizarre warning label, there's a story. 3. In South Korea, they've gamified the process of reporting bad drivers. Through a smartphone app, citizens can upload video evidence of traffic violations they witness, from illegal U-turns to aggressive driving. If the report leads to a fine, the person who reported it gets a portion of the money as a reward. It's a system of crowdsourced traffic enforcement. This turns every other driver on the road into a potential bounty hunter with a dash cam. What do you think? Is this a brilliant way to improve safety or a recipe for a nation of snitches? 4. On Germany's legendary Autobahn, that paradise of speed where many stretches have no legal limit, running out of fuel is a crime. Think about that for a second. You can legally travel at a speed that would tear the doors off a lesser car, but if you sputter to a halt because you forgot to fill up, you're the criminal. It's not considered a breakdown, it's a preventable human error. You're not just a stranded motorist, you're a public nuisance who failed to plan. 5. Those fuzzy dice you see in old movies dangling from the rearview mirror? They're an icon of classic Americana, a symbol of retro cool. In a surprising number of places, including at least 6 US states, they are also completely illegal. The law isn't specifically about dice. It's a blanket ban on hanging anything from your rearview mirror because it could obstruct the driver's view. But this is where it gets magnificent. The law doesn't just outlaw dice, it turns that little pine tree air freshener into illegal contraband. 6. Planning a road trip through Cyprus? You might want to reconsider your snack and drink choices because it is strictly illegal to eat or drink anything at all while driving. Not just a beer, not just a complicated burrito that requires 2 hands. Anything. That includes a sip of water. In a Mediterranean country where summer temperatures can be brutal, taking a drink from your water bottle is a finable offense. It turns every drive into a high-stakes game of how dehydrated can I get before I reach my destination. 7. Splashing a pedestrian with puddle water is a classic bit of urban misfortune. In Japan, however, it's not just rude, it's a punishable offense. This is perhaps the most wonderfully considerate traffic law on the planet. In most cities, soaking a pedestrian is just an unfortunate and sometimes hilarious part of life. In Tokyo, it's a legal issue. It reflects a culture where causing even a minor inconvenience to a stranger is taken seriously. What do you think? Is this brilliant or just too much? 8. You can always count on Florida to deliver legislative gold. There, it is illegal to tie an elephant, alligator, or goat to a parking meter without paying the fee. The law specifies that if you do leash your pachyderm to a meter, you must deposit money as if it were a vehicle. The lawmakers didn't ban the act of parking an elephant on Main Street. They just wanted to make sure the city got its quarter. It's a beautiful glimpse into a world where the biggest civic concern isn't the elephant in the room, but whether that elephant has paid for its spot. 9. If you're in Ontario, Canada during the winter, you might be tempted to have some fun with the snow. Just don't get your car involved. The province's Highway Traffic Act makes it illegal to attach a toboggan, sleigh, or similar conveyance to a motor vehicle for the purpose of pulling it. So all those movie scenes of kids being pulled on a sled behind the family station wagon are depicting a criminal act in Canada's most populous province. It's a law designed to take all the fun out of a snowy day. 10. Some rules are born from caution, others from hyper-specific baffling scenarios. In Glendale, California, it is illegal to jump from a car that is moving at 65 miles per hour. The specificity here is what makes it art. The law doesn't seem too concerned if you do it at 60 km/h or 50, only at 65. This implies a city council sat down and debated the exact velocity at which jumping from a vehicle transitions from a bad idea into a full-blown criminal act. 11. In San Francisco, a city known for its progressive ideals and steep hills, there is a law that is so specific it paints a vivid and frankly disturbing picture. It is illegal to wipe down or dry your car with used underwear. This is it. This is the pinnacle of laws that should not need to exist, but clearly do for a reason. There is a story here. A story of poor choices, questionable hygiene, and a city official who saw something so profoundly wrong they felt compelled to immortalize it in the municipal code forever. 12. Don't get caught with a dirty car in some parts of the world. In Belarus, for instance, driving a vehicle that is considered unclean can land you a hefty fine. The glorious absurdity is in the vagueness. There's no official dirtiness scale, no government-issued color chart to compare your fender to. It's entirely up to the discretion of the police officer to decide if your car has crossed the line from a little dusty to a rolling public nuisance. Is your car charming rustic or criminally filthy? A stranger with a ticket book decides. Do you think a law like this is fair or just a recipe for trouble? 13. For decades, Saudi Arabia was famous for one of the most controversial automotive laws in the world, a complete ban on women driving. For nearly 30 years, it was the only country on earth where women could not legally get behind the wheel. The ban was finally lifted in 2018, a monumental moment that reshaped the nation's social fabric overnight. It's a powerful reminder of how laws are not just about traffic flow. They can define freedom, mobility, and an entire generation's role in society. 14. For years in France, drivers were legally required to carry their own personal, unused breathalyzer kit in their car. It was a mandatory piece of equipment, just like a spare tire or a safety triangle. But here's the magnificent twist. After years of this rule being in place, the government eventually scrapped the fine for not having one. So now it's a law without a punishment, a legislative ghost. You are technically required to have it, but absolutely nothing happens if you don't. It is the Schrodinger's cat of traffic regulations, existing in a state of being both mandatory and completely optional. 15. Here's a quick one from Nevada that feels like a solution in search of a problem, but perfectly captures the state's quirky spirit. It is illegal to ride a camel on the highway. This clearly speaks to Nevada's Wild West history, where the line between livestock and transportation could get a little blurry. Someone, at some point, clearly saw the potential for a camel-based traffic jam on I-15 and decided to nip it in the bud before it became a real issue. 16. In the United Kingdom, it is technically illegal for the driver of a hackney carriage or taxi to transport a rabid dog, which, seems like a pretty solid rule for everyone, not just cabbies. But again, the laser-like specificity is what makes you pause. Why not all rabid animals? What about a rabid badger? The law implies there was a very specific, very frothy, and very traumatic incident that prompted this legislation, and the story is probably the stuff of nightmares. 17. Let's visit Australia, where in New South Wales the law creates a strange pedestrian caste system. It is illegal for a motorist to splash a bus passenger with mud or water. But here's the kicker. The law specifically protects people waiting for, getting on or getting off a bus. If you splash a regular pedestrian just walking down the street, it's just considered rude. But if they're at a bus stop, you're a criminal. What makes bus passengers a legally protected class against puddle attacks? Let us know your theory. 18. In Denver, Colorado, it is illegal to drive a black car on a Sunday. This is one of those old, archaic blue laws that is no longer enforced, but it's still technically on the books. These laws were originally designed to enforce religious standards. While its exact origin is murky, the implication is magnificent. Imagine trying to explain to the Hertz agent why you can't take the only car they have left, because the color of the vehicle violates a 100-year-old municipal ordinance. 19. The entire state of New Jersey, along with Oregon, holds on to a strange automotive tradition. It is illegal to pump your own gas. For visitors, it's a bizarre and sometimes confusing ritual to have an attendant rush out to do it for you. For locals, it's just life. Every single gas station is full service by law. It's a strange throwback that proponents say saves jobs, but it creates a mandatory low-stakes luxury in the middle of one of the busiest, most fast-paced states in America. 20. Thinking of honking your horn in Little Rock, Arkansas? You better check the time and your location very carefully. It's illegal to sound your car horn after 9 p.m. at any place where cold drinks or sandwiches are served. Not restaurants in general, not bars, but specifically places serving cold drinks or sandwiches. A very particular noise complaint somehow got enshrined into law. Was there a war between a local deli owner and a driver with a powerful horn? The world may never know. 21. The law can sometimes get obsessed with very specific types of cleanliness. In Minnetonka, Minnesota, it's a public nuisance and therefore illegal for a truck or other vehicle to drive on the roads if its tires or wheels are depositing mud, dirt, sticky substances, litter, or other material. In essence, having dirty tires is a finable offense. This transforms every car wash into a critical legal compliance center and every puddle into a potential crime scene. It's a beautiful vision of a town so pristine that even tire treads are held to an impossibly high standard. 22. Some laws feel like they were written by a grumpy neighbor who finally got elected to the city council. In Switzerland, a country famous for its precision and order, it is illegal to wash your car on a Sunday. This isn't about saving water, it's about noise. The Swiss value their day of rest so seriously that the sound of a pressure washer or even a sponge hitting a car door is considered an unacceptable disturbance. Your car can be filthy, but your Sunday must be silent. It's the ultimate battle between cleanliness and tranquility. 23. What if your car was grounded once a week by the government? That's the daily reality in Manila, the capital of the Philippines. To combat apocalyptic traffic, they've implemented a system where you are banned from driving on certain days based purely on the last digit of your license plate. If your plate ends in a 1 or 2, stay home on Mondays. 3 or 4, no driving for you on Tuesdays. It's a mandatory timeout for your Toyota. And the best part? The wealthy just buy a second car with a different plate ending. Problem solved. 24. Running out of gas is embarrassing. In Youngstown, Ohio, it's also illegal. This isn't a massive felony, of course, but it is a minor misdemeanor. The logic is that a stopped car obstructs traffic and creates a hazard, which is a preventable error. Still, it feels like kicking someone when they're already down. You're stranded, you're frustrated, and now you're also a lawbreaker. 25. For a long time, Costa Rica had one of the most head-scratching drunk driving laws in the world. It was perfectly legal to drink alcohol while driving, as long as your blood alcohol level didn't cross the legal limit. You could literally have a beer in your hand while cruising down the highway. The act of drinking wasn't the crime. The state of being legally drunk was. Thankfully, the law has since been tightened significantly, closing this massive and frankly terrifying loophole. 26. If you wear prescription glasses, the law in Spain wants you to be prepared. Drivers there are legally required to carry a spare pair of glasses in their car at all times. This seems almost reasonable until you really think about the logistics. What if you wear contacts? What if your prescription changes? It's a well-intentioned law that has probably created an entire sub-industry of forgotten, out-of-date spectacles rattling around in Spanish glove compartments. 27. Let's talk about a rule that's all about silence and clean air. In Singapore, it is illegal to leave your car's engine idling for more than a minute. The anti-idling law is enforced with serious fines. If you're waiting to pick someone up, you're expected to turn the engine off. In a country known for its tropical heat, this means choosing between saving the environment and sitting in a car that is rapidly turning into a sauna. It's a small sacrifice, but one you definitely feel. 28. There is a legendary legal loophole in the United Kingdom that has been talked about for centuries. The story goes that it is legal for a man to urinate in public, as long as he does so on the rear wheel of his own vehicle while keeping one hand on the car. Let's be perfectly clear, this is a complete myth. It has no basis in modern law. But it's so specific and so widely believed that it has become a piece of legal folklore, a phantom law that offers a bizarre, imaginary solution to a very real problem. 29. Get ready for one of the most baffling and outdated laws still on the books. In Kentucky, a woman cannot appear in a bathing suit on any highway within the state unless she is escorted by at least 2 police officers or unless she is armed with a club. Let that sink in. The law provides 2 options for a woman in a swimsuit to walk down the road: a police escort or a blunt weapon. This is a real, albeit completely unenforceable and unconstitutional law from a bygone era. Which option do you think is more practical? 30. Oklahoma law wants to make sure your full attention is on the road, going so far as to ban specific forms of distraction. It is against the law for a driver to read a comic book while operating a motor vehicle. Not a novel, not a newspaper, specifically a comic book. Once again, a law that is so incredibly specific must have a fantastic origin story. Who was the driver? And what was the comic book that was so captivating it required legislative intervention? 31. Imagine a world at war. Not between nations, but between the horse and the automobile. In the early 20th century, Pennsylvania lawmakers tried to broker peace with a truly insane rule. The 1909 law stated that if a motorist saw a horse-drawn carriage and the horse appeared spooked, the driver must pull over and, if necessary, disassemble the automobile and conceal the parts in the bushes. You were expected to take your car apart on the side of the road to calm a nervous horse. This wasn't just a law, it was a demand for unconditional surrender to the equestrian lobby. 32. In Rockville, Maryland, you better watch your mouth while behind the wheel. It is a misdemeanor to swear or use obscene language from a motor vehicle. This turns every bout of road rage into a potential criminal offense. Getting cut off and yelling something you might regret isn't just rude, it's illegal. This ordinance transforms the city into a strange, G-rated driving environment where the most aggressive thing you can shout is, "Oh, fiddle-faddle." 33. Long before the car was king, it was a terrifying, fire-breathing monster. The United Kingdom's 1865 Red Flag Act is the perfect proof. To operate a horseless carriage, you needed a crew of 3 people. 1 to drive, 1 to act as a stoker for the engine, and a 3rd to walk 60 yards ahead of the vehicle, day and night, carrying a red flag to warn people of the approaching mechanical beast. The speed limit was 4 miles per hour in the country and 2 in the city. It was less like driving and more like a slow, pathetic parade for a machine everyone was terrified of. 34. In America, it's common to see a happy dog with its head out the car window, ears flapping in the wind. In many parts of Europe, that's a serious offense. Countries like Germany and Italy have strict laws requiring dogs to be properly restrained in a vehicle, either with a special harness clipped into the seatbelt, in a travel crate, or behind a cargo barrier. An unsecured pet isn't just a distraction, it's a violation. It's a complete shift in perspective. The dog isn't just a passenger, it's precious cargo that needs to be secured for its own safety. 35. What's the one place you should never, ever drive your car? A playground seems like a pretty obvious answer, right? Well, the state of Georgia felt the need to make it official. It is explicitly illegal to drive through a playground. Much like Alabama's ban on blindfolded driving, this law's existence is a silent monument to the fact that at some point someone, somewhere, thought it was a good idea. And they were wrong. So very, very wrong. 36. That pile of old fast food bags and empty coffee cups in your passenger seat? In some places, it's not just messy, it could be illegal. In countries like the UK and parts of Australia, you can be fined if the clutter inside your car is deemed a safety hazard. The law kicks in when an avalanche of old mail slides under your brake pedal, or a tower of takeout containers blocks your view. It gives police the power to act as impromptu interior design critics, issuing tickets for failing to drive in a non-hazardous environment. Be honest, how clean is your car right now? 37. When you prepare for a road trip, what do you pack? Snacks, a playlist, maybe a map? If you're driving in Estonia, the law requires you to carry something a bit more specific: a pair of wheel chocks. Those little wedges you stick behind a tire to stop a car from rolling. For passenger cars, you must have two. It's a level of practical safety preparedness that most drivers have never even considered. It's not just about the handbrake, it's about having a backup for your backup. 38. If your car gets stolen, who's to blame? You might say the thief, but in many places, the law might partially blame you. In several Australian states and even some American towns, it's illegal to leave your car unlocked with the keys in the ignition if you are more than a few meters away. These laws are designed to prevent crimes of opportunity. So if you leave your car running to warm it up on a cold morning, you're not just taking a risk, you're actively breaking the law. 39. When you find a perfect parking spot on the other side of the street, you just pull right in, right? In the United Kingdom, that could get you a ticket. It is illegal to park on the right-hand side of the road at night. The reason is safety. Parking against the flow of traffic means your rear reflectors won't be visible to oncoming cars, making your vehicle a hazard in the dark. It's a simple, logical rule that feels completely alien to drivers who are used to grabbing any spot they can find. Have you ever heard of this rule before? 40. In most places, you have to wait until you're 16, 17, or even 18 to get your driver's license. But in South Dakota, the land of Mount Rushmore and wide open spaces, you can get a restricted driver's license at the ripe old age of 14. 14. An age when most of us were primarily concerned with navigating the horrors of middle school, not four-way intersections. It's a stark reminder of how different the concept of old enough to drive can be in a state with a tiny population and a whole lot of farmland. 41. Be careful how you pay for your next burger at a drive-thru in the United Kingdom. Because the engine is running, using your phone to make a contactless payment is technically a violation of the law that prohibits using a handheld device while driving. This puts millions of drivers in a bizarre, legal gray area every single day. While police have said they would use common sense, the letter of the law suggests that tapping your phone to buy a coffee could, in theory, land you with a hefty fine and points on your license. It's a perfect clash between 21st century technology and 20th century lawmaking. 42. Feel the need for a dramatic exit? That satisfying squeal of rubber on asphalt as you peel out of a parking lot might feel like a scene from a movie, but in the city of Darby, Kansas, it's a crime. A specific local ordinance makes it illegal to screech your tires. It's not about speeding, it's not about reckless driving. It's about noise pollution and the act of showing off. This law is the legislative equivalent of a wet blanket, a citywide no-fun zone for anyone who wants to make a statement with their accelerator. Every Hollywood car chase would rack up a dozen of these tickets before the first turn. 43. Thinking of driving in comfortable footwear in Spain? You might be breaking the law. It is illegal to drive in footwear that could impede your ability to safely operate the vehicle, which is commonly interpreted by police to include flip-flops, high heels, or even driving barefoot. The fine can be steep. It's a rule that makes perfect sense from a safety perspective, but it has definitely ruined the post-beach travel plans of more than a few unsuspecting tourists. 44. If you've ever seen a car with a giant yellow clamp on its wheel, you've seen a law in action. That device, the Denver boot, was invented in, you guessed it, Denver, Colorado. It was created as a solution to a massive problem of unpaid parking tickets. Instead of just towing the car, the boot immobilizes it, forcing the owner to confront their fines head-on. It's a physical manifestation of a legal penalty, a medieval-style stockade for your automobile. 45. Picture the ancient, winding country roads of Devon, England. They are often incredibly narrow, barely wide enough for one car, with high stone walls on either side. Here, a powerful, unwritten law of the road dictates driving etiquette. When two cars meet, who backs up? The rule is simple. Whoever is closer to a designated passing spot must reverse. It doesn't matter if you're in a tiny Fiat and the other driver is in a massive truck. If the passing spot is behind you, you are the one making the long, stressful drive in reverse. It's a system built on pure, pragmatic geography. 46. Sweden has a rule that can feel a bit strange to visitors from sunnier climates. Drivers there are required to keep their headlights on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of the season or weather. In the long, dark Scandinavian winters, this makes perfect sense for visibility. But driving through the brilliant sunshine of a midsummer afternoon with your lights blazing feels deeply counterintuitive. It's a simple, effective safety measure that has become so ingrained, it's now just second nature to all Swedish drivers, a constant beacon in light and darkness. 47. That satisfying, solid thump of a car door closing is one of life's simple mechanical pleasures. But in Switzerland, a country that has weaponized the concept of quiet, that sound could get you in trouble. It is illegal to slam your car door, especially at night. This isn't a traffic law, it's a noise law that applies to your car. The Swiss value their peace and quiet so intensely that the jarring sound of a slammed door is considered an unacceptable disturbance. The entire country operates under a stealth mode protocol after 10 p.m. It transforms the simple act of getting out of your car into a high-stakes mission, where you must gently guide the door until the latch clicks with the silence of a ninja. 48. Imagine it's Sunday, your only day off, and you've decided today is the day you're finally going to buy a new car. You head to the dealership, ready to negotiate, only to find it completely deserted and locked up tight. This isn't because of a holiday, it's because of the law. In a surprising number of U.S. states, including Illinois, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, it is completely illegal for a car dealership to be open and sell vehicles on a Sunday. These are remnants of old blue laws, designed to enforce a day of rest. In an age where you can buy a house on your phone at 3 a.m., you are legally barred from purchasing a Ford Focus because of a centuries-old religious tradition. It is a massive, legally mandated inconvenience for both buyers and sellers in a 24/7 economy. 49. In the early days of the automobile, the city of Memphis, Tennessee, had an ordinance that feels like a bizarre relic from a forgotten age. To operate a car, you were required to have a servant, or an attendant, run ahead of your vehicle to warn pedestrians and horse-drawn carriages of your approach. This wasn't just a safety measure, it was a class statement, a law that assumed every car owner had staff on hand to act as a human horn. Okay, we've navigated 49 different kinds of legislative madness, and only one remains. But before our grand finale, it's time for the final verdict. In our opinion, the award for the most mind-bogglingly dumb law on this entire list has to go to Pennsylvania's 1909 rule requiring drivers to disassemble their car and hide it in the bushes for a spooked horse. It's the only law that expected every driver to also be a master mechanic with a full toolkit, just to survive a trip down a country road. Do you agree with our verdict? Or did another law deserve the crown? Let us know what you think in the comments. And now, for our final number. 50. Let's be honest, sometimes you just have to spit. It's a gross fact of life. But if you find yourself in Marietta, Georgia, your legal right to do so depends entirely on what you're driving. A long-standing city ordinance makes it illegal to spit from a car or a bus. However, the law explicitly carves out a glorious exception. It is perfectly legal to spit from a truck. This creates a bizarre vehicular caste system, a legal hierarchy where truck drivers are granted a freedom denied to sedan owners and bus passengers. What was the logic here? It is the ultimate example of a law so specific and nonsensical, it becomes a work of art. So, from the criminalization of fuzzy dice to legally mandated car disassembly, it's clear the rules of the road are a strange and wonderful reflection of our history, our fears, and our glorious lack of common sense. Now we have a serious question for you. If you were given the power to instantly strike one of these laws from the books forever, which one would you eliminate first? We want to know which rule is so fundamentally dumb, it deserves to be completely erased. Let us know your choice in the comments. If this trip through legislative madness made you question reality, show your support by hitting that like button and subscribe for more stories you won't believe are true.